Donald Trump's summit with Vladimir Putin was not just a one-day humiliation. The embarrassment for Trump and really the rest of us is still ongoing because he wants to do anything but stand up and defend our allies. This is weakness masquerading as strength. He wants to pretend to be a tough guy while he has already run scared once again after his failure. Donald Trump is out golfing, but that trip just got blown up, and we are going to get into it all and how Trump is melting down. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, Donald Trump isn't just running away from the fact that he failed in Alaska. There's a lot that he's running from, including his gerrymandering effort in Texas, which Kamala Harris called out right here.
People like the people, those elected Republicans in Texas, they have figured out that they can't win if they don't cheat. That's what that's about. Because they know that taking Medicaid from working families, from sick people, is not a winning argument. Cutting education funds, SNAP benefits, is not a winning argument. Getting rid of cancer research to solve the things that ail people is not a winning argument. So they're cheating, and they want to cheat. But I'm proud that right here in the state of California, there was just a decision made that we're going to take it to the voters, take it to the streets, take it to the people to fight for fairness and not allow the people who want to cheat democracy win. It is time to fight fire with fire. And that's what this moment is requiring of all of us.
Donald Trump is cheating. We don't need to mince words. That's what's happening right now. Donald Trump is trying to steal the midterms. Donald Trump is actively working to steal the midterms. Greg Abbott is helping him do it. We do not need to, well, you know, what they're doing is wrong. No, let's just be blunt, honest, and simple about it. Donald Trump knows how unpopular he is right now. Donald Trump knows just how weak he is right now, not just at home, but on the world stage. Tariffs, haven't seen a deal. Peace, it's not coming. Donald Trump is a laughingstock. And before we get into how his golf trip became a laughingstock as well, I want to start with Congressman Jason Crow, who called out the disaster in Alaska.
On Ukraine, you know that the U.S. intelligence assessment is that the battlefield is turning in Russia's favor, despite the fact that Putin has to rely on Iran and North Korea to keep this thing going. If neither President Biden nor President Trump were ever willing to commit troops, doesn't the Secretary have a point that it has to be hammered out at the negotiating table?
You know, this absolutely will end at a negotiating table, like most conflicts will. But what happened on Friday, it was a historic embarrassment for the United States. There's no other way to put it, right? You listen to what Marco Rubio and the president have said. They keep on saying they're dedicating time. They're making it a priority. They're focusing their attention on it. In any negotiation, when you're trying to end an armed conflict, there's nothing more important than understanding what motivates your adversary. What is making Vladimir Putin tick in this instance? Vladimir Putin does not care about the amount of time that we're allocating to this, does not care about a B-2 bomber flyover, does not care about a lineup of F-22 fighters rolled out. He doesn't care about any of that. What Vladimir Putin cares about is basically three things. He cares about economic pressure in the form of sanctions. He cares about political, diplomatic isolation, being a pariah state, and he cares about military defeat. Those are the three things that will end this conflict. If he feels pressure on all of those three fronts, and this administration continues to be unwilling to do anything to assert pressure in any of those three areas.
Weakness. This is weakness. It is the only thing consistent about our constantly outraged, chaos-causing president. It's the only thing consistent, is that he is weak. No one is intimidated by Donald Trump. Not a single person is intimidated by Donald Trump. He just consistently shows how little he actually wants to do, how lazy he is. And that was displayed on the golf course, which actually got blown up, so not that great of a trip for Trump. We're going to get into it all right here. Trump mocked online for taking weekend golf vacation after getting dog walked by Putin. Donald Trump's supporters celebrated him for spending 2 days on the golf course after failing to strike a deal with Vladimir Putin to end the war in Ukraine. Critics of the U.S. president, however, did not see this retreat as a sign of strength. Following Trump's Saturday golf outing, one commentator noted that taxpayers spend over $4 million each weekend that Trump is playing golf. American taxpayers spend on average $4.2 million every weekend on Trump's golf games. Yes, every weekend, because the fat, lazy, demented F is the first president to flee the White House 2 to 3 days out of the week. Supporters like Johnny MAGA praised Trump for being on the golf course, which is an idiotic thing to do, saying that Donald Trump is the only man alive who can end wars in the morning and head out to golf. Well, he didn't end any wars. That's why another Twitter user responded, Trump gets dog-walked by Putin and immediately transitions into a golf vacation. Excellent gambit, Mr. President. Thanks for all the hard work. With Republicans against Trump saying after failing to secure a ceasefire from Putin at the Alaska summit, Trump spent the day golfing on the taxpayers' dime, which he has done 50 days since assuming office. And this, Donald Trump's laziness, matched with the fact that he can't stand up to Putin, is why world leaders just dropped a bombshell on him.
NBC's Danielle Hamamdjian, who's joining us from London. So Danielle, Vaughn was touching there upon the EU-NATO show of force we're going to have there. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, to use a sports analogy here, this is a full court press situation. Europe wanting to show a united front. Nobody here wants to see a repeat of the humiliating scene a few months ago when Vladimir Zelensky was berated by Donald Trump in that Oval Office. And so Zelensky will be flying there armed with European support, allies by his side on the guest list. As Vaughn mentioned, the head of NATO, the European Commission president, the leaders of the UK, France, Germany, Italy, and Finland as well. Giorgia Meloni of Italy is an interesting one to watch, Alex, because she is very much pro-Ukraine, but she is also known to have a very good relationship with Donald Trump. So it's an interesting balancing act there. Also, Finland shares a very long border with Russia. Its leader, Alexander Stubb, is also known to have a very good relationship with Donald Trump, having bonded over golf in the past few months. So it's no surprise that he will be coming along as well. They're going to be talking about security guarantees and this proposal of a NATO Article 5-like guarantee on the table, which would, of course, ensure that the Europeans and the Americans would come to Ukraine's defense in the event that Russia would once again attack. The Europeans are very pleased that the Americans seem on board with this decision, with this proposal rather, and they're going to be pushing back on any plan that would force Ukraine to give up any territory to Russia. Take a listen to Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission president.
Our position is clear. International borders cannot be changed by force. As I've often said, Ukraine must become a steel porcupine, undigestible for potential invaders. Only Ukraine can choose its own destiny, but Ukraine can always count on Europe.
Again, it is constant weakness from Donald Trump. The fact that world leaders have to show up and hold his hand to make sure he doesn't give away all of Ukraine, it's the same thing that happened in Alaska. Marco Rubio and Steve Witkoff had to be in the room with Trump because they don't trust him one-on-one. Their luncheon got canceled because Trump was too tired. He couldn't take questions because he's in mental decline. It is obvious that Donald Trump is weak right now, and we need to be seizing on that, which is exactly what Gavin Newsom is doing, and he broke it down in a great interview right here.
The Election Rigging Response Act is the sign above your head right now. What is that?
It's in response to what happened in Texas, in response to the President of the United States doing what he tried to do after he lost the election in Georgia, when he dialed the Secretary of State of Georgia and asked to find 11,000 to 12,000 votes. Now he's got a midterm. You've got all the headwinds with midterms. He recognizes he's likely to lose the midterms, which means he's going to have a co-equal branch of government with real oversight authority. So he called Greg Abbott in Texas and he said, quote unquote, I'm entitled, his words, not mine, to 5 seats. And it triggered a response in California, and it's triggered an outcry across the United States.
And so you're asking voters, most likely on November 4th, you're going to present a series of maps of what these new congressional districts are going to look like, and voters are going to have an opportunity to decide if that's what they want to do. If Texas goes forward and California voters don't back this map, is there a chance for Democrats to even win the House? I mean, is that kind of game over?
Well, I don't think it's going to stop with Texas. I mean, he sent the vice president to Indiana. You've got the governor and the Speaker of the House in Florida saying they're going to move. In Missouri, they're talking about it. Ohio, these guys aren't screwing around. And that's the whole point. I mean, we could sit there and talk about, our better angels and that we're holier than thou, but we're tying one hand behind our back. We are proud. I support it. I voted for the independent redistricting. I want to continue it. And by the way, the initiative that we're asking the voters to apply forces, meaning we reinforce the core tenets of the Independent Redistricting Commission. But under emergency measures, we ask that we just look at the congressional maps in mid-decade terms to respond to what's happening in other states. And we're doing it in a transparent way, we're doing it in a temporary way, and we're asking in the most democratic way the people to decide. Stark contrast to these Republican states that are doing this behind closed doors and are doing it on the basis of a president and his party trying to rig the system to advance power.
And they don't have the redistricting commission, so they don't have to worry about that either. Yeah. But in terms of if all these other states happen, California's 5 seats isn't enough. I mean, are you actively talking to the other Democratic governors, and what are you hearing from them?
Well, I want them to all step up. I mean, look, California punches above its weight. 5 is not insignificant. It neuters what they're doing in Texas. I don't think Trump expected us to push back like this. I think he's so used to, with all due respect to my party, that it's fire and fury signify nothing. All is bluster, holding hands, having a candlelight vigil, talking about the world that it should be, and we don't do anything. And so what's different about this, we're finally doing something. It's not about whether or not we should do something, it's how we should do something. So this is what's different about our approach. To your question, I hope it also inspires other governors to move from the bully pulpit to the ballot or to a legislative strategy, because everything is at risk. You saw today, they sent ICE agents. I don't need to say anything more. I just hope everyone is listening.
Border Patrol agents.
Border Patrol was sent to this location to coincide with this press conference. That is authoritarianism. What more do you need to know? It's about intimidation. And that's what it's all about. This is about intimidating, not just intimidating people that happen to be assembled here today, but it's about fundamentally reshaping our notion of what a democracy is about, intimidating people into silence and complicity. That's what Donald Trump is all about.
Gavin Newsom is one of the few Democrats not just speaking out, trolling Trump, infuriating MAGA, but actually delivering on it. And we need more fighters like that. We're going to continue to talk about that fight on this channel every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.